Good morning. Welcome to the North Shore Unitarian Church, where our mission is to empower people to live with greater depth, meaning, and purpose. My name is Ariel, and I am your youth program and connections coordinator, and it is my delight to serve as one of your worship leaders this morning for this special, interactive, multi-generational service. There is a lot that goes on in our congregation, so please take a minute to note the announcements that are in your order of service. And I want to draw your attention to that first announcement. There are baskets up here at the front of the stage with markers and other things for drawing with, as well as coloring sheets. So if at any time you'd like to use some of these materials, please feel free to come on up and get some. And they aren't just for kids. They're for everybody. I'd like to give an extra welcome to any visitors or newcomers who might be with us today. We're glad you're here. If you'd like to learn more about our community, I'd encourage you to sign in with your contact information on the iPad that's in the foyer. If you have any questions about our congregation or the Unitarian Universalist tradition, I or any of our friendly volunteers wearing greeter buttons would be happy to chat with you. And after the service, I'd like to invite everybody to come downstairs for some coffee and tea and conversation, and we'll also have some coffee in the foyer for visitors as well. So as we move into our time of worship together, please take a moment to set your phones to silent. In this community, we celebrate people from all walks of life. No matter how you make your living, or how you experience the sacred, no matter who you are or who you love, we hope you will feel welcome here.
Hello, could I have the children up, please? Children, do you want to come gather around, everybody? I need a chair to sit on. Is that okay? Okay, so what we're going to do today for the prelude is really different from anything we've ever done here before, which is we're going to make up a story, and then you guys are going to tell the story while I play it. Okay, so first of all, we have to decide who's in the story, and then I have to tell you my only rule, which is it has to have a happy ending, because it's church. I can't handle not happy endings. So, first of all, tell me who are the people who's going to be in the story? Yes. A dog. Oh, like lady? Yes. A cat. So somebody has to be remembering this information. A dog and a cat. A girl warrior.
Yes.
Yes. Power. Dog, cat, girl warrior. We need something scary. A boy, of course.
A monster.
No, well, we'll have a boy and a monster. No, not a monster boy. That's not allowed. We'll have a regular boy. We've got a girl warrior, and how about a boy chimpanzee? I can take a boy chimpanzee. Okay, girl warrior, boy chimpanzee, and something scary. Yes. Five-headed monster. Okay, I can cope with that. With 8 legs. All right, a 5-headed monster with 8 legs. Boy, a girl warrior, a cat and a dog, and there was one other thing.
Boy chimpanzee.
Boy chimpanzee. That's it. Okay, so what happens to these people? The boy and the girl are both going for a walk through deep, dark forest. Yes. The girl gets kidnapped by the 5-legged monster. 5-headed monster with 8 legs. Oh, okay, she gets kidnapped. Okay. Or maybe the boy gets kidnapped and the girl goes and rescues her. What, the boy chimpanzee? The chimpanzee helps the girl. All right, so the girl gets kidnapped. She's a warrior. So what's she going to do? Yes. She kills a monster. Right. Yes. And then the boy chimpanzee, the monster is invincible. I love it. So does he rise? Because he has 5 heads, she only manages to kill 4. Okay, yes. The dog and the chimpanzee leap onto the monster's back, and the cat as well. Oh, how wonderful. And they save the day, is that right? And then the boy chimpanzee and the girl warrior manage to get away, and then they all live happily ever after. That's the story. Jackson's saying that the monster comes back into the house, I think they just tell him he has to start cleaning. And he says, okay. And so he starts cleaning the house. And then they're all friends. Fine. Okay, so can you guys tell me the story? Okay. Who's going to tell the story while I play it? Yes. It's very profound. Okay. Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. All right. The monster is actually a human that got cursed. But when something kind happens to it, when they take it into their house and tell it to do the cleaning, and then it becomes part of the family, then it turns back into a human. And it's glorious. It's fantastic. I love that ending. Okay, so who's going to tell the story while I play it? Maybe I should tell the story. Who's going to hold my mic for me? All right, so this is the music for, so we start off with the cat. Here's the cat. Can you hear her paws? Now, here's the dog. That's it barking. Okay, and here's our monster. The chimpanzee. Jumping from tree to tree. Okay, who else do we have? Who? The girl warrior. She's a fierce girl warrior. Is there any other characters that I've forgotten? That's it. Okay. The tree. We'll leave the tree. Okay. So it starts off. The girl and the boy, chimpanzee, are walking through the forest one day. That's the chimpanzee jumping alongside. At the end. Okay, so they're walking in the forest, and suddenly the cat appears. It says, I don't think you want to go there. This is a bad place to go, and it's getting very dark. And there's a dog at the same time, just like Lady. The lady says, don't go there. It's really, really scary. And the girl and the boy says, why is it so scary? And they say, because there's a 5-headed monster. But we want to visit the monster. And they say, no, don't visit the monster. Because it's really scary. It has 5 heads and 8 legs. So we might find that it's not as bad as we thought. And the cat says, don't do that. And the dog says, don't do that. And the mouse says, don't do that. And the chimpanzee says, we want to do that. So they keep walking along in the woods. A little bit cautiously. And the girl warrior says, it's okay. I'm a girl warrior. Suddenly they get to this little spot where 5-headed monster suddenly is getting very angry because it's in their territory. And he says, what are you doing? Take you to my house and keep you as my friends. Because I'm really lonely. And I say, I'm going to Chimpanzee says, that's really not very nice playing at all. I think you should come to our house, and then we could all play together like this. Sorry? They got kidnapped, so look at this. And the monster says, oh, you can't. The monster catches them. And then they're very sad. And the monster wants to eat them, and they're really scared. And he wants to put them in a frying pan. Oh, no, don't put us in the frying pan, don't do that. And then who should show up? But the cat. And the dog. And the mouse. And the girl warrior. She breaks out of the cage, and the boy chimpanzee says, yes, I'm going to leap through the bars, and I'm going to open the doors, and we're all going to run away. And they do, they run away. And they all run away. And then the monster says, don't run away. I want to have some friends. And they say, oh, come with us. So you get to their house. But it's a big mess. Because there's a cat, and there's a dog, and there's a mouse. There's a chimpanzee, and there's a girl warrior in that house. And they say that for your punishment for being a monster, you have to clean the toilets. And everything. And the monster says, really? And they say, yes. So the monster says, okay. And he starts cleaning the toilets. And crying big monster teardrops. Because somebody sometimes pees over the edge of the toilet. And then the boy chimpanzee says, I'll come and help. So together, and then the cat says, I'll come and help. And the dog says, I'll come and help. And then the girl warrior says, I'll come and help, and the mouse makes a meal. And they all sit down together, and then lo and behold, do you know what happens?
He turned back to human.
The monster drops heads and turns into a human.
But he wasn't wearing clothes.
Pardon? Is it a girl or a boy? Is it a monster, a girl or a boy? Do you know what? He's both.
Two-headed person.
But he said, but he can't be two-headed and be a human.
Two bodies. That can actually happen.
All right, children. That's the end of the story.
Our opening words this morning come from Reverend Betts Wieneke, something like that. As we gather together this morning, may we learn to recognize and affirm the pieces of possibility, the bits of good we bring. May we encourage rather than control, love rather than possess, enable rather than envy. Allowing our individual gifts to weave a patchwork of peace, the soft, deep blue of sensitivity and understanding, the red energy of creativity, the white heat of convictions, the risky, fragile green of new growth, the golden flashes of gratitude, the warm rose of love. Each of us is indispensable. If we were to minister to a broken and wounded world, together in our gathered diversity, we form the whole. So be it.
Let's join our hearts and minds and bodies in come, whoever you are.
Us is the breath of God.
that second verse to that song might be new to many of you, is the version that the children sing when they do worship downstairs. I thought it would be fun to try both. This service is all about being creative, if you haven't already noticed that. So I consider myself a fairly creative person, and I even come from a family of artists. However, it's not paints and brushes or beautiful yarn or clay that really excite my imagination. No, it's walking by a gleaming butcher counter or surveying the misty rainbow of a produce section in the grocery store that really sparks the creative spirit in me. As much as I do have a crafty side and I enjoy taking on the occasional knitting project, I found it's in the kitchen where my creativity comes out these days. I often find myself imagining how I'm going to cook something I've never cooked before, or just ruminating over different flavors, trying to figure out which combination would taste like the recipe that's in my mind. Growing up, both my mom and dad cooked, and they both welcomed me into the kitchen to learn the basics, but it wasn't until I really gained my own proficiency and confidence in my cooking in my later 20s that I also discovered I didn't just love eating, I loved cooking too, and that the craft of cooking and preparing food, that had actually become a kind of life-giving creative expression for me. So this morning I light our chalice, symbol of our faith, for the joy of discovering what inspires your creativity, whatever that may be. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. Our offering here at North Shore is given and received and given away in love. This is the spiritual practice of generosity that we call each other to here each week. For the month of February, our plate collection will go to the Wild Bird Trust of British Columbia. Please give as generously as you are able. Ushers, please prepare to take the offering. in gratitude for these gifts and all that we do to weave the tapestry of love we call community, we give thanks.
This is an improv, where what I'm going to do is I will start by putting out there a little fragment of melody, which you just pick up. If it appeals to you, you just start singing that part of the melody. I could say, you guys do this part, you guys do this part, but you know, some of you will respond naturally to one part, to one fragment. So what we're going to do is, once that's all going, that's my creative bit, but then I'm going to get you guys to be creative and start improvising over the improvisation. Once it's loud enough that nobody can hear what you're doing anyways, so that means you all have to sing loudly, then start to let rip. Just let it go. Start doing anything you like, and I promise you there's nothing that you can possibly do that's wrong. Let me say that again. There's nothing you can possibly do that's wrong, okay? You should hear Stockhausen and Schoenberg. They used quarter tones against other quarter tones. I guarantee you, anything you do is going to be better sounding than that. So, let's just give it a shot and start. Now, if you find after a while that improvising isn't really your thing, start putting words into it. What are the words that you most need to hear? Is it words of gratitude? Is it words of sorrow? You can think it inside your own head and then start singing it. Okay? So it starts like this. Can I have a C? Here's the first one. It goes like this. Ba, 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 ba. Keep doing that. Here's the second one. Again. Keep going. Here's the third one. Keep going. Keep going. Here's the last one. Yeah, again. Now start improvising over the top. Just go for it. Start adding words. Well done.
guys are all creative, amazing. I'm going to invite you all now to take a deep breath right from your belly and breathe into the present moment. And realizing that not everyone will have the functions to enter into all of these movements, but grateful for the skills that we do have, we invite you, as you are willing and able, to participate in this interactive meditation. Spirit of love, God of many names, we enter into this time of centering and sensory reflection. Let us shake out our arms and hands and rest them by our sides. Let us shake out our legs and feet and plant them on the floor. Let us stretch our heads high. Let us take a deep breath of thankfulness. Let us touch our eyes, happy to have the beauty of colors, line, and shapes. Let us imagine the beauty of the world, the flowers, the trees, the babies, the puppies, all of the things in which we delight. Let us touch our ears. Through them we hear glorious sounds like we just heard now. Happy ones and sad ones, beautiful songs and lonely cries. Let us listen well so that we may live fully. Let us touch our lips, for through these lips we receive the food and drink that nourishes us and helps us grow, and we speak the words that express our thoughts and feelings. Let us touch our hearts, for it is our hearts that we know and share love. Let us feel the world around us. In our imagination, let us experience the wind that cools us, the sun that warms us, and the rain that nourishes the earth and cleanses all. The beauty of life is all around us. Let us softly say, each in our own way, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, nature. Thank you, world. And may we smile in delight. Welcome back. Today, we are going to light our candle of witness for friends of the Syrian family in Halifax who lost 7 children in a fire on Tuesday. The family had arrived for their new life in Canada in 2017. I ask you to hold in your hearts the mother and father who will need strength and love to carry on. And I know that there are people here today whose hearts are full of struggle or who carry with them those who are struggling or in pain. If there is someone in your life that you would like to bring into the loving embrace of our community here, I invite you to bring their face into your mind's eye and then their name onto your lips. May you speak those names out loud now. For those names which have been spoken and for all that remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, we light this candle of hope and love for our community. And I invite you now to stand and sing as you are willing and able the hymn that will be on the screen, We Laugh, We Cry.
To
I know that all of the children have already gotten to come up here once, but I actually want to invite you back up again because I was hoping that you might be able to help me explain some stuff to the grown-ups. Could you do you mind coming back up again? No. I'm going to sit down here with you. So we called this service Embodying Creativity. What does embodying mean anyway? Does anyone have a guess? Coming with? Kind of. Anyone else have a guess? It's a big word. It doesn't mean dying. It's actually just a fancy way of saying making an idea physical, giving an idea a shape. So what do you think embodying creativity would mean? Yeah.
Creativity.
Making creativity. Yeah. Doing our creativity. Actively being creative by making something. And that's what you guys and everyone here is going to have a chance to do in a few moments. You're going to get to put your creativity right into action here in the middle of this worship. You actually have been doing it all along. We've done a few different creative things with Allison, and in a few minutes we're going to have everybody explore stations that we have set up all around the sanctuary and in the foyer. But I have another question before we get to do that. Why should we be creative in church? Yeah. Because it's good for you. That's a really good answer. And it's better to collaborate with other people. Did you guys read what I was going to say? No. So I agree with you, and here's some other things. Is that there's a very wise, smart woman. Some of the adults will know who she is. Her name's Brene Brown. And she said, creativity is how I share my soul with the world. What do you think she's trying to say there? What does that mean? Creativity is how I share my soul. Does anyone have a guess? I think what she's saying, yeah, oh yeah? So she's sharing her art that she makes? And her life? Yeah, that's part of it. I think she's saying that being creative lets her truest self, and it lets her share that deep part of herself with other people. And I think that that's actually one of the things that we're trying to do here at church, is we're trying to learn how to bring out our truest, best selves and share that part of ourselves in our community, but not actually just here, also out with friends and family. Yeah, we're trying to learn how to act from that truest, best, most caring, most open-hearted part of ourselves all the time and with everyone. And I think if being creative is one of the ways that we can get at that part of ourselves, then we should definitely be creative at church. So I'm going to send you back to your seats in just a sec, but I have one more thing I want you to think about. And that is, you can be creative all by yourself. Do any of you like to be creative? What are some things you guys do? Yeah?
Turn a box into a car.
Turn a box into a car. Does anyone else do anything creative? Yeah.
Invent new gadgets by drawing.
Invent new gadgets by drawing. Does anyone else do anything creative? Yeah. You draw things you made up in your mind. Yeah, all of those things are wonderful and creative. Yeah, what do you do?
Make up stories.
And you make up stories. All of these things are things we can do. But we can also do creative things with each other. And I think there's something special that happens when we're creative in groups with friends, or sometimes we call that collaborating. And you make up something that you couldn't have made by yourself, which is kind of like our church community, by the way. We couldn't have our congregation if we didn't create it all together. So in theater, that's kind of my background, we call it ensemble, when everyone is working together and listening and in sync with each other. You might know another word for that, called synergy, which is kind of a cool word. So when you're going to go back and I get a chance to go and explore the stations that we have up here on the stage and out in the foyer, I want you to just think for a second, pay attention when you're exploring, and see if you find your soul coming out, and if you experience any synergy with anybody as you explore and create. Thank you. You guys can go back to your seats. So we're going to get started in just a minute, but I want to give a little bit of a roadmap about how things are going to work. So I said there's some stations. There's a painting station up here on the stage. There's a drawing station and a movement station out in the foyer. There is one exploring sculptures over on the east side of the sanctuary by the sound booth. And there is another one right here down at the bottom of the stage on the west side that's going to be exploring creating with words. And then, of course, there's also the markers and the coloring pages that are up here. And you're welcome to play with those too. Each station has written instructions about what to do, as well as guides there who can help you and explain what it's all about. Please feel free to explore as much or as little as you'd like. You can stay at one station and just immerse yourself there if that's speaking to you. You can visit some or all the stations. You can also stay in your seat and color, or you can just listen to Toby play and take it all in. Please listen to what kind of expression of creativity is calling to you right now, and enjoy exploring. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad art. This is really about the process. When our time of exploring is about halfway through, we'll ring the gong 3 times, and then we'll ring it again when it's time to stop, just so you know how much time you have. So as you move around and you try out the different activities that are at the stations, I would ask you to be mindful of the sacred space that we're in together, and to maybe move a little bit more slowly, a little bit more thoughtfully and quietly than you might otherwise. One more thing. Try to leave any voices of judgment behind in your seats. In the words of one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Ms. Frizzle, take chances, make mistakes, get messy. Let the creativity begin.
Somebody else give me other words. Singing with you, singing with you is my prayer. Do you have a word? With you, painting with you is my prayer. Everybody painting. Painting with you. Reading. Reading with you. Reading with you is my word. Do you want that word? Anyone know the word? Laughing. Laughing. Laughing with you. Laughing with you is my prayer. Somebody else. Gardening. Learning. Learning with you. Learning with you is my prayer. Linda's. Sharing. Sharing with you. Sharing with you is my prayer. Jan. Yes? Jackson? Sing it loud. Chanting. Chanting with you. Chanting with you is my prayer. Chanting. Skipping. Skipping with you.
I know some of you are still creating and drawing and coloring, and that's great. I'd invite you to just finish up. Thank you for sharing your creativity with us, for being open to this different way of being together in worship and trying out these new and familiar ways of exploring. Thank you for sharing some small part of your soul with us. Blessed be, and amen.
We extinguish this flame. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose.
And I want to send you out with these words from Vancouver spoken word artist Shane Koizan. And he says, "Remember that you are an artist, regardless of how constantly the world will try to drive it out of you or how a real job will bury that part of you. Whether it's with food or building robots, you will know your medium the instant you realize how in love you are with what it brings out of you." Go in peace.